I'm Nisa. I live in Ewa Beach, Oahu, Hawaii, and I own this 1997 Honda Civic Type-R N1spec. A K24 bottom, K20 top with the Kinsler Drag Cartel 62mm ITBs. It was something that I definitely wanted when I envisioned this car and wanted to build it. I had a vision for this car build about probably now 7 years ago. When I initially had the car, I had a different color scheme that was just temporary. It was a Tiffany blue with like a hot pink, and it was all glitter, of course. But I'd always wanted the teal and purple color scheme. It was definitely inspired by Ariel. I've loved mermaids since I was a kid. I wasn't going to get ITBs because they're so expensive, and I told my husband, like, no, we can't do it. And then he ended up getting a hookup from a friend. I mean, we still paid good money for it, but definitely not what it was worth. And so when he told me he could get them, I was like, okay. The vision I had in my head, the car definitely came out way more than I expected it. Funny story, when we got the car from California and shipped it here, I didn't want to touch the car. I hadn't had the car for 6 years already, and I was like, I'm not spending the money to get it to where we want it to be, because Jeremy's definitely, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. And in my head, I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much money. And so we ended up finding a powder coater, and Jeremy was like, okay, we'll just powder coat a few things. We'll powder coat this, this, and this. And next thing I knew, our powder coater, Jesse, kept dropping off parts. And I was like, what do you mean he's dropping off more parts? Like, when did he get the parts? Oh, I gave them to him, and I was like, by the time we were done, everything on this car was powder coated. It wasn't something that I had expected. I definitely wasn't expecting for my suspension and headlight brackets and, you know, all that to be powder coated, but I don't hate it. We wanted to take the car to our friend Cedric because he does amazing body work. He did the original body work inside the engine bay and did all the shaving of the bay for us. So the body work on the outside of the car, I wanted my car to be somewhere that I trusted. So we took it over to Prime Auto Body, and Don is amazing. He painted the outside of the car, the engine bay, all in the door jambs. He took every window out. He does amazing work, as well as Cedric's body work is, I didn't realize my car had so much body work that needed to be done, but it was just like little things. I wanted my car to still look like a Civic Type-R, and that means being champ white. So from far away, I wanted it to look like, ooh, look at that Civic Type-R. But then when you get up close, I wanted the pearl, because that's my personality. I'm all glitter and colorful, as you can see, and I wanted my car to represent me. But Don ended up saying, hey, check this out, they have a chameleon pearl. So we went on the computer and he showed me a bunch of stuff, and I was like, no, that one. So the pearl actually changes from a teal to a blue to a purple. And you have to get just the right angle to see the purple, because it's a little harder. The teal shows the most, which is fine. But when you see the colors in person, they're amazing. So yeah, it came out exactly the way I wanted it to. The interior of the car, I pretty much kept it stock, except for the center console. We actually took The original, actually, we didn't take the original. We had a friend that's in Japan, Mark. He sourced a center console for me because I didn't want to cut my center console. So he sourced another one and shipped it to us. And we gave that and the brake, the e-brake portion of the console to our friend Morris, who's Magic Man 808 on Instagram. He actually took those pieces and mocked up a custom fiber, carbon fiber console that we could cut to fit my K-tune shifter. And then he had downshift knobs make a custom aerial shifter. I think the only other thing that I'm gonna do is just get seats in the front, but leave everything else, because my car is an N1 spec, and a lot of people don't know what it is, but it's the race version that was sold off the showroom floor in Japan. And the only way that you know the difference between a Civic Type-R and the N1 spec is, the N1 spec, they didn't put the black and red interior in. They figured you were just gonna rip everything out, put race seats in it, gut it, so they didn't want to put the expensive Civic Type-R interior in. So the speckled interior that's in my car now is what tells you it's a Civic Type-R N1 spec. So I don't want to touch that because that's what makes it rare. We weren't even able to find information on how many cars were made, but from our guesstimates, and I could be wrong, but there was like less than 300 N1 specs that were made. So it doesn't have the fancy interior like Civic Type-R, but it definitely is rare. So I don't want to take away from that. Lucky for me, my tuner is my husband, and he is the brains, but he was patient enough with me. I wanted to build my own car. I didn't want to be known as the girl that Jeremy built her car, because he's built so many cars. The cars he's built have been in so many magazines that I didn't want to be known as that girl. I wanted to put my own blood, sweat, and tears into this car. And so we had plenty of time before SPOCOM to build the engine. So he literally guided me. Like, he didn't touch the engine. He just told me, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is the spec for this is the spec for that, this is how you gap it. So like, I built my engine, but I definitely don't take credit for putting the car completely together. I absolutely get in and get dirty with my car, but we were running out of time. We literally, if it wasn't for my team, there's no way this car would have been done for SPOCOM or WeekFest. God, yes, I do want to give a shout out, and God forgive me if I forget anybody, because I have a huge team. So I'm gonna start off, my husband. You were there to help. Randy, Germs, Cam Bam, Willie, Blake, Dickie, Leo, Caitlin, Chad, Ashley, Ronald, Kalani, of course Cedric. Cedric stayed there so many late nights to make sure we had time to put the car together and he could lock the shop up. Keith, forgive me guys if I forget somebody, but yeah, I mean, team always, like team no sleep. Oh, our friend Bagrant. And then like Discount Tires, like Craig over at Discount Tires did an amazing job putting my wheels on. Like, I was so scared like to get them scratched, and he did an amazing job. Keith, and then Jesse, who's my powder coater. Like, I couldn't do any of this without any of them. Like, but my biggest supporter is my husband. Like, he pushed me to get this car done, because I really was like, no. But then once we started working on it, I was like, oh my God, I forgot how much I missed it. You know, because when you just put it on the back burner, you forget how much joy it brought you. So then I pushed him to get his car done, because I was like, I forgot. I know you forgot. You gotta get it done. thank you so much. You made a girl's dream come true. Like, thank you, Frank, for always supporting and always shipping out stuff last minute, hooking us up, helping us out. I also want to say thank you to Danny Tran. He, DTR headers, he built my custom header, and people don't realize, like, I didn't like color match it. That's just the way it burned off. And then Jeremy hit up Track Tough Rob to make some custom pieces, and they came out beautifully. And color fittings, like, they have the amazing fittings that I needed to make this build, you know, what it is. Speed Factory, let's see, Rywire. When Jeremy first hit him up, he was like, oh, no, I can't do that. To do a mil-spec plug on an Infinity. And Jeremy's like, yeah, but, you know, he worked it out with Ryan, and Ryan ended up building it, or, you know, making the harness, and I love it because it looks so clean and it goes with everything. And then, of course, Kaitaya powder, Jesse, my powder coater. Don't bother asking him for the color codes, he won't give them away. Keith, who did all the painting for he initially did the engine bay and the valve cover, and when we had it repainted, it had to be repainted by somebody else, but he did all the teal on the engine bay. I also want to thank AEM. Let's see, am I forgetting anybody? K-Tuned, my husband, he did a lot. You can also follow me on Instagram at MSCTRN1.